Welcome back to Season 4, Episode 1 of Teed Up, where everyone's a sports expert.
The podcast that makes you care about sports.
We're an original podcast created and produced by Long Beach State's student-run newspaper, the Long Beach Current. Coming back for a new season, new co-host into the right of me. Naoki's no longer with us, unfortunately, but it's good to welcome in Maddie C.
Thank you. Got big shoes to fill, but happy to be here.
And then I'm Maddie G. Today we're joined by brand new baseball head coach TJ Bruce, 2013 College World Series winner.
Yep.
Thank you guys for having me, man. Great to be here. Great to be in this sweet studio, and you're rocking the right gear, so it's a pleasure.
Yeah, I'd love to welcome back a debut guest for really an introduction. We haven't got to talk to you yet, so we're just going to come with you with some questions.
Fire away. I'll give you what I can.
Yeah, I want to start off. What does the dirtbag mentality mean to you? I feel like it's the easiest question for everyone related to this program.
Well, I feel like over the years it's changed, and I feel like the Dirtbag brand is probably more mainstream now than it ever has been. But what I also want to get to the people out there is the Dirtbag name was always a style of play. It was nothing more than that. That was it. So what does it include in the style of play? You know, it was running hard on and off the field. It was taking hit by pitches. It was sliding in hard and late. It was running hard 90s. It was picking up your teammates. It was basically doing anything you can to win the ball game and to be a really good teammate. Now, what comes with that is discipline, right? Mm-hmm. Discipline, integrity, respond, toughness, brotherhood, right? All those things go into this melting pot, and then you create dirtbags from them. So that's something that I think we're going to stress here is not only what it is, not only what it means, but what is when people are looking at it from the outside in. You know, I have these sayings: what's it look like, what's it feel like, and what's it sound like? And I want people to be able to answer those three questions when they're watching the Dirtbags play.
So you've been all over the country. I mean, really the past few years, you go from Nevada, and then you're at TCU as an assistant. But so you may not as been locked into the Dirtbags as other people. But over the past few years, what do you think this program has been missing? I think it's been since 2017.
It's been a rough stretch.
Yeah. So what do you think is the biggest thing to get the Dirtbags back to one of the premier baseball programs in the country?
That's an interesting question, right? So I'm going to answer it a few different ways, maybe from an alumni standpoint, from a fan standpoint, because I am Long Beach born and raised, and then I'll get into the coaching side. But number one, I think things are getting more difficult, right? The college baseball landscape, NCAA sports landscape, they've created this gap from mid-major programs to the Power Four. It's now Power Four programs. So they've created this gap, and so it's not as easy. Not that it was ever easy, but it's getting tougher and tougher to stay relevant, okay? So with that being said, the alumni part of me feels like what was once here, stability, right? So you go from let's just go the Dirtbag years, right? You go from Coach Snow to Coach Weathers to Buck, and then normally how it goes, I feel like in this program it should have been passed on. Well, that stopped in 2019. You know, and nobody's at fault, but I think there's something to be said with some of these programs. The Fullertons have it, Irvine has it, Long Beach State had it, right? I think we're trying to recapture that back. So I think that, and then I think the true meaning of what a dirtbag is. I think as much as the landscape of college baseball is changing into what it is, the NIL era, the money, it's all about me. That's not how Long Beach State was built. That's not how the Dirtbag program was. So I feel like as much as it's getting away from that, we lost the foundation of who we were and what we stood for. Now, if you have your foundation and now you incorporate that other stuff, now you're a threat, right? But you lose your substance, and now you're chasing this sugar high, as I call it, this candy, you'll be high for one day because you got paid, and then the next day you're like, oh, okay, now what do I do? Then I think you're just going to ride these waves. You're going to ride these hills and valleys, and I think that's what you've really seen over the last few years.
Yeah, that Dirtbags mentality, just really an old school style of baseball approach. How do you kind of blend all that with the newer style, all the approaches, rules changing, analytics, Rhapsody, just all these things?
Well, there's a lot. There's a lot to dive into on that. I think number one, what's being lost also, there again, I think I'm probably known as a disciplinarian. I think if you were to poll 10 guys or 10 people in our baseball community, they would say I'm a disciplinarian. Mm-hmm. But what does that look like? It doesn't look like it did when I was playing, running on the campus field for hours among hours, running at 6 a.m., running at 10 p.m. at night at Blair, with one spotlight on like we're in the movie Miracle, right? It doesn't look like that anymore. But also what it does look like now is holding these guys to a standard. And there again, we want to hold our guys to a standard of excellence. So what's excellence, right? What's selfless? What's discipline look like? And I think that's what we're trying to get to. And if you can do that, and if you can blend that, and how you do it, in my opinion, is honesty and being authentic. I'm an authentic person. I'm not a great liar, and I think you have to be able to have the hard conversations. And that will take place within our program from here on out, whether it's with staff members, whether it's with players, whether somebody's having a hard conversation with me. Because let's be clear, is that if you want to create a good program, there's some conversations that somebody's going to have with me as well, and tell me I'm not doing this right for them, and I'm not serving them correctly. So I think if we can do that, that's foundational stuff. If we can't do that, Rapsodo and True Media and the metrics, they're not fixing any of that. Mm-hmm. That's where I think people get lost. The metric side, all that stuff is great if you throw strikes. It doesn't fix not throwing strikes. Yeah. It doesn't fix, right? If you strike out at a 60% clip, let's just say it's a very high clip, you're not going to all of a sudden strike out at 20% clip, right? You're going to have swing and miss, but how you make swing and miss work for you now, that's how I look at it. So I think the first thing for us is we need to be confrontational, confront the situation, confront the topic, whatever that looks like, be confrontational, have a conversation about it, and then let's move on from it, and let's build and get stronger from it, not get weaker from it. And I think that's, in my opinion, that's where I think people go wrong. It's no different than what I do in my household, right? We got 4 kids and my wife, and my wife's about as honest, if not more than I am, with us and myself and everything. And so it's just with doing that, I do believe you're giving these guys the tools to fight the fight.
So this one comes as a bit of an outsider looking in from last year, at least my perspective. You have head coach Brian Peters. Love the guy. I think so. They put the interim tag on him all last year, and I feel like, to go back to what you were saying about laying a foundation, having some stability, a lot of turnover in the roster, a lot of turnover with the coaching staff. You were given a deal. You have kind of, I feel like, a little bit of more leeway. What's your sort of outlook for the program or a timeline? What do you want to see the steps taken in the next coming years?
Well, that's hard. The coach side of me wants to be in Omaha in June.
Yeah.
Period. And can we do that? Yeah. Can the program get there? Yes, it can. But I also know there's steps to this process, and I also know building the foundation. And I just told one of the alumni last night, who was our first baseman. I was driving home and we were talking. I want 2 things in the fall. I want culture and I want health. That's it. I don't care if we hit 100. I don't care if we pitch at a 11 ERA. I think the fall for us this year is about laying the foundation of exactly what Long Beach State Dirtbag baseball means and what it looks like, what it feels like, what it sounds like. That's it. And after that, I'll take what we can get after that. But I also understand that these guys have to change their mindset, right? Too many times right now I hear it every day. And I hear it from different areas every day as, well, we're just Long Beach State. Well, just think about how that just sounded. That doesn't sound very good. It sounds like you're already setting yourself up for a negative thing to happen, right? Or we're just a mid-major. No, we're one of the 301 Division I baseball schools that has a chance to win the championship, right? We are Long Beach State, right? If you just start changing your verbiage, just think about what that does to your mind, and then what that does to the heart, and then it all flows together, right? So I think that's a lot of it too. And we're having our first team meeting on Sunday, and it's going to be all about mindset. It's going to be all about the toughness factor. It's going to be all about pursuing excellence in everything we're doing.
Yeah.
You guys should come out.
I mean, I think it's huge, just reinstilling, having a pride, like putting on a Dirtbags uniform, because for a long time, especially in, the early 2000s, when you were here in the beginning, this was a program that produced, I forget the exact statistic, but some of the most major leaguers. Yeah, from like a period of time. Yeah, I think it was from like 2000 to 2010. More major leaguers came out of Long Beach State than any other program. So this program has history, and it has, meaning to put on a Dirtbags uniform. I mean, I feel like just the mid-major tag, put that aside.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is too, right? It is, I think people in general. This is just people I'm talking. I'm not talking about players, but just people in general. They're just happy to get to where they're going, right? They're just happy to get here. It's like, how that's not really excellence in my opinion, right? If I'm just happy to get here, if I'm just happy to be a head coach, well, then that's not going to go very good, right? I should be striving for excellence and being the best version of myself, and then pushing the program forward. That's how you get to where you want to get to, by being confrontational, right? Challenging people. Right? Because what happens is when you challenge people, you're uncomfortable. When you get uncomfortable, you have an opportunity to grow. So if I can't challenge people, people are comfortable, it's not going to work. You just won't, you're not going to be very good, and you're not going to grow. And I think that I'm just talking from a person standpoint, right? So as anybody that kind of comes around me, I got no problem challenging people. Right, and making sure, like, hey, is that the best we can do? Is that this? Is that that? We have to push the program forward, and we have to understand that this is Long Beach State. This is a special community. This just isn't a mid-major. We can do big things but we need commitment too.
I mean, the current landscape really is transfer portal, right, for the NCAA. We don't know a lot about who's come in, but I just want to talk about some of the departures. Do you have any opportunities to talk to Miles Patton before he left? And then how do you now go and replace Adrian Lopez, one of the top producers from the offense last year?
Yeah, I mean, Miles was awesome. Now Miles is Long Beach born and raised too. So that was actually a really cool conversation. And I think what you have to embrace the transfer portal in this day and age, one way or the other. You have to understand that kids are going to go to it, and you have to understand that you're going to get some kids out of it, right? So when I talked to Miles multiple times, and he was always honest, he was always authentic, and he always showed respect. And for that, I'll forever be grateful to him, and I'll be his biggest fan. And the last thing I told Miles was, if you need a place to throw in the off season, come back to Long Beach. This is his home. There's no reason why he should feel neglected or that he's not a dirtbag because he's left. Because here's what you got to understand too. I'm the third head coach in 3 years here.
Yeah.
Think about that, right? I know the statistics out there. I know what's being used against us. So now being 20 years old, right? And he wanted to chase the SEC, and I understand that. He wanted to chase something different that we weren't able to provide, right? So he thought at the time. Now, with that being said, okay, now you want to get into like I told him, you want to get into the weeds about prospects and developing major leaguers. Or there's nobody better on the West Coast than our staff. There's not one person better. You want to talk about winning a national title? Well, I've won one, right? So I know how to get. You want to talk about getting to Omaha? Oh, geez, I've been there too, right? So there are some layers, but also with, I think, the lack of stability, that you lose trust. And I get that too. So Miles was great. Lopez, I never had a chance to talk to.
Yeah.
right? And that's okay. There again, he wanted to do his own thing. You know, I think he led the team in RBIs, maybe, if I'm not mistaken.
I think RBIs.
He was
and
up there
home runs.
in
Up there in
home runs, up there in
RBIs. Kind of a low batting average, some little swing and miss. Had a hard time picking up the ball a little bit, right?
Yeah.
On and off. He was chasing some records, but also like fell off towards the end. It looked like.
So I think there again. I know what I know of him. He was awesome kid, good teammate. There again, I understand. I'm not trying to hold it against anybody, and we look forward to seeing their success down the road.
It's good getting that insight on, you know, those guys, because, I mean, a lot as fans, too, you know, you see the big names and you see, all right, that guy left.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about the people you're bringing in. What's the recruitment pitch from TJ Bruce looking like? Why should those kids out of high school be coming to Blair Field?
I just gave you a little bit of insight. But I think part of it is you have to get back to a vision, right? What's the vision? What's year 1, 3, and 5? What's it look like? Okay, so now you do that. Okay, somebody's like, well, let's get rid of the vision, right? Because you never know if those things are going to happen. Okay, what can I promise you? Well, I can't promise you a number. I can't promise you playing time. I can't promise any of that. But I can promise that when I talk about Omaha, I know how to get there because I've been there. Not many people can say that. You can go up and down the country.
Yeah.
You can use whoever you want, okay? So if let's just say you're an infielder, okay? So I've been coaching 19 years. 11 infielders in my 19 years are in the big leagues. Go find a better infield coach, please. Now come back to me and say, okay, now what? Right? I would love to do that, okay? So I think with that being said, now I think you're getting into other things, right? You're talking about pitching side, right? You're talking about Rolando Garza. Okay, well, who's been on the forefront of the pitching in Major League Baseball? The Rays. Well, we just took the pitching coordinator for the Tampa Bay Rays. Okay, well, what's that mean? That means that he's going to be we're going to be on the cutting edge now of all the pitching side. So all the Rays stuff just got funneled down into Long Beach. Right? So now you're going into recruiting. Okay, well, who's the hot young name in recruiting? Well, we got the best guy in California. Right? There's a lot of good ones, right? And I don't there's a lot. And I don't want to discount. I think when you look at it, I think obviously Santa Barbara and Irvine have done tremendous things, and those guys are incredible coaches and people and all that. Thomas Walker is a rising star in this industry. And I don't even think rising because I think he's a star. I think those two guys, if they do what I know they're capable of doing, they're going to be head coaches in the near future. And that's what you want to do. So then now you get into recruiting. Now you get into other things. Our third assistant, Joey Notch, he's Long Beach, right? Played here, caught here. Knows what a dirtbag is. That's valuable. Now you're getting to Jordan Aboitis, who's our baseball ops, who I am the third head coach he's worked for. He's trying to find a little stability. But this guy is way better than baseball ops. And I'm not degrading an ops position by no means because they are the backbone for any program. This guy will end up becoming a coach here in the very near future, right? A guy that played at Mayfair, went to ASU, unique, was a two-way guy, weekend starter and a third baseman, right? But born and raised in Long Beach, right? And so then you get into all these other things, and we just hired a former player of mine, Tyler Bosetti, who holds an NCAA record with the consecutive home runs hit in nine or 10 straight games. So he's an NCAA record holder, right? So he's like our player development guy. So we're surrounding guys with coaches that are a lot better than me, and I think that's part of this thing. So there again, you want to be part of a community, Long Beach community, there's nobody better. I've been at Blair Field when there's been 5,000 people, and that place is rocking, okay? You want to be in front of a community that supports baseball? Long Beach. You want to be in front of a staff that develops? Long Beach. You want to be in front of a staff that's went to Omaha? Oh, no, your head coach has won a national title? Long Beach. You want to be in player development? Long Beach. I mean, it speaks for itself, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely, especially going back to Blair Field and stuff, at least for the 2 years that I've been here, back-to-back leaders in attendance in California in the NCAA. It's unlike any other.
And they finished under 500.
Yeah, exactly. It feels close to, a minor league stadium with the amount of fans that come out. It's majority community members, not as much students, but people of the community care about the team. It's great to see. I mean, I went to a lot of the road games last year, different bigger schools. The atmosphere was nowhere comparable to Blair Field.
Not even close. And I've been to some atmospheres, right? TCU was an incredible atmosphere. It was a lot like Blair. We packed that place with 9,000 people. We had 20,000 people in 2 days for our super there. You can do this. You can do that at Blair without question. It's not even close because the community is thirsty for the Dirtbags to be great, right? Make the Dirtbags great again. That's kind of the mantra, right? That's the deal. So how do we do that? And I think it's going to take the community, man. I think it's you got access to all the alumni, right? You got Evan in and out, Weaver's in and out. Jason Vargas was just down here for 6 or 7 weeks. And then on top of that, you got the guys that aren't big leaguers, right? Because there's way more of them than there are the big leaguers, right? So now you got Mike Kofius, who's born and raised at Lakewood High School in Long Beach. Now you got Don Barber, who's in town, who's one of the original Dirtbags. You got all these guys that just want Long Beach State to be good and are willing to help in any capacity.
I mean, sticking in our backyard, big opportunity recently. Area code games returned this summer to Long Beach at Blair. You have opportunities to take it in. Did you ever play in the area code games? I know Bobby did.
1999 summer. So you got a funny story. It's not funny because it sucked, but so the area code team. So that's back when American Legion was playing. I don't know. Do you guys know about American Legion?
Heard of it, but
okay. So American Legion was legit. So basically, it was your summer high school team before travel ball, and so you played at Blair. You played 25 summer games, and then they had like American Legion playoffs, and then you went to this deal up north, and it was awesome. And you had some big names in it. So in fact, what would happen is some of these guys were young enough. Alberto Concepcion, which is a big name out of El Segundo High School, played at USC. He played his freshman year at USC. Instead of going to summer ball, he played on his American Legion team. This is how big it was. So final tryout for the area codes, the Dodgers back then, and I make the team. So it's awesome, right? It's great. Make the team. Had a few practices before. The night before our first game, I'm playing in the American Legion playoffs at Blair. It's probably 3,000 people. It's packed. And we're playing El Segundo High School. We're getting a rundown, chasing a shortstop by the name of Kevin Estrada back to first base on a pickoff while he broke my ankle in 2 places. So I never actually played in the area code games, unfortunately. But that's my area code story.
Tough blow.
Tough blow. But it was cool. It was cool to be back. It's cool to be back in Long Beach for him. And I think it's a rite of passage, to be honest with you. Long Beach State baseball, area code games, they go hand in hand. And we're so thankful to Bobby to get that back. There was a lot of people that had their hand in that, and Bobby was a main one in that thing. And for his understanding of how important that is for our community and area code baseball, it's incredible. So hoping it's going to be here to stay.
Yeah, I was in attendance for one of the underclassmen games. Just really cool opportunity. Lots of scouts there.
Well, now think about the underclass game. Let's just say you have 150 kids.
Yeah.
You just had 150 unofficial visits. They're playing at your field.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a no-brainer, right? It's a no-brainer. Now you got the upper class. They're all half of them are going to be in the portal anyways. Right? So now it's like, oh, you've already played at Blair. I pitched at Blair. I like the background. I like the cages. Now you got all that stuff.
Going right into the batting cages, you named after Troy Tulowitzki, a former teammate of yours, and then the bullpen, Jered Weaver bullpen. Yep. What's it like? You kind of go through and tell the guys, you have stories playing with some of those big leaguers, kind of just showing them the path, like, hey, this could be you someday,
Well, I think it speaks to who they were as players, and I think it also speaks to who they are as people, and then what Long Beach State baseball meant to them. To be honest, Tulo is my daughter's godfather, so to be in the same place where he donated, his hard-earned money to try to make this place great is awesome. And then Jered Weaver was in my wedding. right? So to have Weave and his bullpen and to see those names every single day, I think there again, it's incredible that they took that money to make Long Beach State great, right, or to help it, and then also who they were as people and teammates. I mean, they were both incredible teammates, and both very different teammates, right? But at the same time, guys that pushed you, and even guys to this day that push you harder than they ever did as teammates, right? As people, and that excellence factor, they have that, and they have it in everything they do. So to see that, I always say to write your future, you got to know your past, and that's what you get to go out to Blair Field and see those names and those banners up and the flags up around the concourse. I mean, I think it's just incredible. I think it's an incredible place. I think it's one of the best parks in the state.
Sticking with the past, just want to hear your memories from your 1 year playing here, that 2004 Super Regional Series. Game 1, 1-run loss.
Yep.
Game 2, 9-4 blowout, and then Game 3, 1-run loss. Just what kind of sticks out from that?
Well, what sticks out right off the bat is we swept U of A in March that year at Blair, and we put it on them pretty good.
Yeah.
I think there's the message there is, for all teams, is what you were once, you can still get better. And if you get better throughout the year, you'll have a chance to win a lot of games. And Arizona did that. I think, too, I got to imagine it's probably one of the best teams in the country ever to not go to Omaha, right? I think that team had 7 major league players on there. Number 3, Arizona earned the right. They had to beat Weaver, Ramos, and Vargas 2 out of 3. Mm-hmm. That's hard to do, and not many people did that year, and they did that. I do remember Friday night. I didn't play Friday night at all. I don't think at all. But I remember Friday night, Jered came down with mono. Yep, and so he wasn't I don't think he was around all week. Mm-hmm. Rarely threw a bullpen. I don't think he threw his pen that week. And just to see him battle through, I don't know, maybe it was 5 or 6. I mean, our bullpen was pretty good with Brian Anderson and Neil Jamison. But I think Weaver maybe got into the 6th. I think maybe the 7th. But to see just him compete and battle with what he was dealing with, he wasn't even at the game Saturday. Mm-hmm. Now, he wasn't going to pitch Saturday, but he didn't even show up to the game. Yeah. Right? That's how sick he was, and I'll never forget him showing up Sunday ready to pitch, right? And he was ready to come out of the bullpen, and this thing always stuck with me is that you talk about development, is Coach Weathers and Buck decided not to use Jered out of the bullpen because his career meant more and his health meant more to them than winning that game Sunday. Right? Now, we had to score, and we didn't score. I think we lost 2-1 in 10 innings. But the simple fact that Dirtbag baseball is bigger than winning and losing, and that was a really good indicator right then and there. But there was a lot of good memories through the year. Unfortunately, we were short, and just didn't do enough. I think we lost, like you said, 1 run Friday. We won 10-3 on Saturday, and then offensively we couldn't really do a whole lot through the weekend. But there again, is it a disappointment? I don't think it's a disappointment. I think it's hard to be one of those final 8 teams, and I'm proud as heck to be a part of that 2004 team.
Definitely. I mean, it speaks to the humility of the coaches, but also, I mean, Jered Weaver too. I think that was the year he won National Player of the Year.
Yeah, Golden Spikes.
I'm sure he had, Major League in, his sights, and for him to, basically say that, I'm ready to pitch on Sunday, that's huge too.
That's just how Weave was, That's how he is to this day. I think, anytime you need something, you have a chance, an opportunity to call him and reach out, and he's just been incredible, and he's an incredible person, incredible father, and husband, and all that stuff. So he was fun to be around.
I got one last thing I want to ask you. Yep. Just local kid, but you didn't come here until your senior year. What was that situation like, and how did you end up getting here?
Yeah, good point. So I was a non-qualifier out of high school. So for those of you that are listening, that means my grades weren't very good. So I had to go to Cerritos Junior College. I went to Cerritos for 2 years, and then like everybody else, I kind of saw big things, right? I saw, had some offers from Oklahoma State. Actually, believe it or not, didn't have one California school offer.
Dang.
Had offers. I got down to Oklahoma State and Texas Tech. Had a little bit of history. My grandparents at that time, I guess my whole childhood, really, they lived in Lubbock, believe it or not, of all places. Got to Texas Tech, and I just thought that's where I was supposed to be. I'm a man of faith, and obviously God was pointing me in that direction. So I went there and had the best year of my life, which was incredible. I loved Lubbock, right? But I think at the end of the day, you got to, and this is my thing to kids, is when choosing a place, you got to go, the fit should override window shopping. And I think that's what I did. I made the mistake and I window shopped. And I went to the sexy field, the big people, the big brand, the community, and I should have probably just stayed home. Not probably. I should have just stayed home because it fit my style more. And so after that year, I called my best friend, who was the best man at my wedding, Mike Kofius, who was a senior here at the time, or a junior. I said, hey, I'm leaving Texas Tech. Just let me know if there's any opportunities. And so I'll never forget, I met with Coach Weathers Wednesday before they left for Stanford for the Super that year. And I met him here at the field, and he said, hey, I'll give you books and tuition. And I was just going to live at home anyways. Mm-hmm. And they were going to lose Tim Hudding, who was the backup, or he wasn't a back. He was backup shortstop, but I think he played second base. So they anticipate Tim was going to sign. And sure enough, Tim signed, and so it kind of opened the door for me, and I had the worst year of my career. Here, I ended up I went from hitting 321 in the Big 12, I hit 186 or 187.
It was something like that, yeah.
So it wasn't good, but the life lessons were incredible, and I wouldn't have been the head coach at Long Beach State if it wasn't for me coming back to Long Beach in 2004. Mm-hmm. So there again, I don't regret anything. I don't wish I would. I think we all hope that we would play on forever, but I also feel like the game retires you at some point too. And the game retired me and taught me other lessons, and maybe that's why I had to go through that hardships, because God knew I was going to be a coach to teach kids and be with them when they go through it. So when a kid's hitting 180, I know what it was like to hit 180. It was miserable. Mm-hmm. But how did I show up every other day? And I think that's the question.
You got anything left for him?
I think that pretty much hits it.
Awesome, man. Well, you guys have been incredible. I appreciate you guys. We got to get a coaches podcast going here, and
Athletics needs to get on that.
I'm all about it, and I'll help. Can I help post it though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can talk to our people. You talk to your people. Yep. We'll get her going.
Yep. Yeah. Have your people get.
We'll come back
people.
And be the guest.
You be guest one on the coaches podcast.
All right.
Long Beach Dirtbag style.
All right.
Ooh, okay. But other than that, thank you so much for joining us for Season 4, Episode 1 of Teed Up. Thank you to our editor, Aidan Swanepoel, and our producers, Nicklin and Aidan Swanepoel. If you want to stay up to date on the latest in Long Beach State sports, check out our website, lbcurrent.com, and follow us on socials at lbcurrent. Thank you so much for listening to us, and see you later. Grow up a big heart every episode. Gotta do it for Long Beach.
Thank you.